This video demonstrates the assembly of a 2-panel knockdown sliding patio door with nail fins. The assembly of a block frame sliding patio door is similar. Prepare the rough opening by following the opening preparation steps as shown in the installation instructions available on installpella.com. The frame pieces come in 2 separate packages. One contains the head and sill, and the other contains jambs along with the fasteners, other assembly parts, sealant, and instructions. Unbox the frame parts and lay them out on a smooth, clean surface. Pella recommends laying them out on cardboard to protect the finish as shown here. Place all the frame subassemblies exterior side up. Jambs have a straight cut on one end and a mitered end on the other. The jamb straight cut always mates to the sill. Position one end of the head subassembly and insert the exposed corner lock into a jamb subassembly. Make sure the miter joint is tight. Install 2 number 8 by 3/4 inch Phillips flathead screws into each corner. Repeat on the other head to jamb corner. Using the included Pella installation sealant, inject sealant into one corner of the head to jamb subassembly. Slowly inject sealant while keeping pressure against the injection port. When sealant is observed at both head witness hole locations, stop sealant application. Repeat on the other head to jamb corner. On the sill subassembly, remove the release liner from the 2 gray butyl pieces from each end of the sill. Position one end of the sill subassembly and insert it into the jamb subassembly. Make sure the sill is fully seated into the jamb. Repeat on the other sill to jamb corner. Install 4 number 8 by 3/4 inch Phillips flathead screws into the corner. Repeat on the other sill to jamb corner. For frames provided with installation fins, install the flexible fin corners. Remove the outer portion of the backing from a new fin corner by pulling on the tabs at the corners. Align the front edge of the fin corner in the middle of the frame cladding so it is adhered to both the cladding and the installation fin. Align the front locating notch with the corner of the frame. Fold the fin corner over the corner of the frame and rub firmly over the entire surface to activate the adhesive and ensure a good seal. Lift the installation fin just enough to fold under and adhere the tab of the fin corner to the back of the installation fin. When ready to install, fold out the fins on the jamb's end head. This will stretch out each fin corner. Be sure to move the frame from the floor to the rough opening in unison with one person at each jamb so not to introduce twist and racking onto the unsupported frame. Install the frame into a properly prepared opening using the appropriate installation instructions on installpella.com. Do not shim or install any fasteners into the frame head until after the fixed panel is installed. The vent and fixed panels are each shipped in separate packages. Locate the fixed panel package and remove the packaging. As a reminder, the fixed panel is the panel without any handle holes or lock. The fixed panel will be upside down in the package and will need to be flipped before installation. The bottom of the fixed panel has spacers which protect the bottom mohair weather strip during shipping. Remove these spacers to prepare the fixed panel for installation. Locate the fixed cap in the exterior channel in the center of the frame head. The fixed cap must be removed before installing the fixed panel. Remove and save the attachment screw for reinstallation later. Grasp and twist the fixed cap 90 degrees to release it from the frame. Keep the fixed cap and screw. Temporarily store them in a safe location. These will be reused when the fixed panel is installed. An alternate option is to leave the fixed cap in the frame head and slide it out of the way toward the lock jamb once the screw is removed. Be sure to store the screw in a safe location for reuse when the fixed panel is installed. Before installing the panel into the frame, place a 2-inch wide strip of painter's tape on the interior side of the fixed panel on the bottom rail. Here the fixed panel is shown with the bottom rail up because that is how it was oriented when removed from the packaging. The tape should start 2.5 inches from the edge of the interlocker side of the panel, which is the side opposite the stile with the black weather strip, and run just past the middle of the panel. This tape is to protect the interior finish from scratches while installing the panel. Looking at the sill, the fixed side of the frame has 2 aluminum fixed supports onto which the fixed panel will be positioned. The fixed jamb is the frame side closest to the supports. Use suction cups on the glass if the panel is too heavy to grip and hold by the edges. Lift the panel through the opening and position the bottom of the panel at a slight angle so it clears the sill. Lower the panel slightly so the top of the panel can be inserted into the exterior head opening. Lift the panel all the way up into the head. Position the panel bottom over the 2 aluminum fixed sill supports. Lower the panel onto the supports. Make sure the groove on the bottom of the panel is properly positioned on the sill fixed supports. Slide the panel over into the fixed jamb until the panel stops. Confirm the panel is fully inserted into the jamb by taking a measurement as shown from the frame to the stile and rail joint at the top and bottom of the panel. It should measure 2 1/16 inches when the fixed panel is completely inserted into the fixed frame jamb. After the panel is fully inserted into the jamb, remove the painter's tape applied to the fixed panel. From the interior, locate the bottom fixed bracket attached to the sill. Drill a 1/8 inch pilot hole through each of the 2 holes in the bracket, about 1 inch deep. Attach this bracket to the wood face of the fixed panel using 2 8 by 5/8 inch pan head screws through the 2 holes in the bracket. Remove the suction cups. Locate the top fixed bracket and 2 8 by 5/8 inch Phillips pan head screws. From the interior, insert the bracket at the top corner of the fixed panel. Install the screws into the 2 bracket holes. If there is a gap between the top of the fixed bracket and the frame head, shim above the vent lock strike to make sure the frame head is in contact with the top fixed bracket. The frame head must contact the top fixed bracket because in a following step, the fixed interlocker will be pushed up against the frame head to be positioned in the correct location. Locate the interlocker. If the plastic part snapped on the metal interlocker is mislocated, it must be slid to the proper position. The plastic part must be flush with the end of the notch in the metal interlocker as shown here. From the interior, the interlocker is positioned onto the exposed side of the fixed panel with the black portion of the interlocker toward the interior. Let's look at the interlocker installation steps again, but in more detail. Start by angling the top of the interlocker to the fixed panel edge near the frame head. Push the interlocker up against the head while aligning the interlocker clad clip with the groove on the exterior panel cladding. Tilt the lower portion of the interlocker against the panel edge while making sure the clad clip is going into the groove on the panel cladding edge. At the sill, make sure the small groove on the bottom of the interlocker cladding is aligned with the appropriate portion of the sill. Push the interlocker completely against the panel edge. Tap along the length of the interlocker to confirm it is fully attached. Before driving any screws, make sure the interlocker is held tightly in place against the fixed panel and pushed up towards the head. Attach the interlocker to the fixed panel by installing a 8 by 1 inch pan head screw through each available hole in the interlocker and into the face of the fixed panel. Place shims above the head just at the fixed panel edge where the fixed cap will be located against the interlocker. Locate the fixed cap. If it was slid over in the head out of the way earlier, slide the cap against the interlocker at the top of the head. If it was previously removed, position the cap fully against the top of the head, twist the fixed cap 90 degrees until it locks into place, making sure the vertical wall of the cap is facing the side of the fixed panel. Install the saved 8 by 5/8 inch pan head screw into the cap hole closest to the frame head exterior. Drill a 5/32 inch pilot hole through the empty hole in the fixed cap through the frame and into the rough opening. Install a number 10 by 2.5 inch Phillips pan head screw into the hole. If not done so earlier so the frame head contacted the top of the fixed bracket, position shims between the frame and rough opening above the vent lock strike. Drill a 5/32 pilot hole through the empty screw hole in the vent lock strike through the frame, shims, and into the rough opening. Install a number 10 by 2.5 inch Phillips pan head screw into the hole. Refer back to the installation instruction anchor page and complete installing the remaining head fasteners as described. On doors size less than 96 by 96 inches with no performance upgrade, a screw on the interior of each jamb 6 inches up from the sill may be installed through the frame and into the rough opening instead of installing screws through the sill. Place shims between the frame and rough opening, then drill a 5/32 pilot hole through the frame in the groove closest to the interior and into the rough opening. Install a number 10 by 2.5 inch Phillips pan head screw into the hole. Because the door shown in this video is less than 96 by 96 inches and had no performance upgrade, the lower jamb frame screw anchor option was chosen to avoid using sill frame screws. Please refer to the installation instruction anchor page for required sill anchors for larger doors and doors with performance upgrade. Repeat on the other jamb. The vent and fixed panels are each shipped in separate packages. Locate the vent panel package and remove the packaging. Just like the fixed panel, the vent panel will be upside down in the package. The bottom of the vent panel has rollers protected by shipping spacers which must be removed. Flip the panel over so the rollers are on the bottom. Before installing the vent panel into the frame, if a vent lock is included in the panel, flip the handle of the vent lock so the bolt tip is protruding above the top of the panel. Check the dimension of how far the bolt tip extends out from the top of the panel and adjust if needed. Confirm the bolt tip is 5/8 of an inch above the top of the panel. If not, turn the bolt tip until it is at 5/8 of an inch. Turn the bolt clockwise to lower the bolt more into the panel and counterclockwise to raise the bolt. Be sure to flip the vent lock handle back before installing the vent panel so the bolt tip isn't visible above the vent panel. Use suction cups on the glass if the panel is too heavy to grip and hold by the edges. Position the lock side of the panel to where it clears the anti-lift part in the frame head and lift the panel into the head cavity. Then position the panel so the rollers are above the sill track and place the rollers down onto the sill track. Slide the vent panel to within 1 inch of the lock jamb. The reveal between the vent panel and the lock jamb should be equal from top to bottom. If the reveal is not equal, start by adjusting the roller closest to the lock jamb. Turn the roller adjustment screw clockwise to lower or counterclockwise to raise the panel until the space is equal. If needed, adjust the other roller on the opposite side of the panel to help with adjustment. Do not adjust the panels up too much and cause the bulb air seal weather strip on the bottom of the panel to pull away from the sill. The bulb air seal weather strip on the bottom of the panel must always remain in contact with the sill. Confirm shims were placed between the frame and rough opening at the lock strike locations. If not, shim between the frame and rough opening at the strike locations. Drill 5/32 inch pilot holes in the remaining lock strike holes. Install number 8 by 3 inch screws into these lock strike holes. Install the handles per the provided instructions in the handle package. Install the lock strike covers. If a vent lock is included, check the operation and adjust as needed.